Hello, guys. Today, I'm not going to read any new research papers on speech or NLP, but we'll talk about the Apple's all new dictation on iOS 16. Uh, I will look at the new features from a researcher, especially speech researcher perspective, and I'm going to reveal what is under the hood and how the engine works. First of all, let's take a look at the WWDC video.
Or here's Robbie.
Dictation lets you type just by speaking and can be much faster than typing with the keyboard. This is why it's so popular for taking notes, sending messages, and more. In fact, dictation is used over 18 billion times each month, and it's designed to protect your privacy. Thanks to the neural engine, dictation can happen entirely on device. Today, we're excited to introduce an all-new on-device dictation experience that lets you fluidly move between voice and touch. Let's take a look. We'll use our new dictation experience to send an email. Now, when I start dictating, the keyboard stays open, so I can switch between using voice and touch. I can even select text using touch and replace it with my voice just by speaking. Are you sending a longer message? Dictation automatically adds punctuation to the text. That's so cool. Mind blown emoji. Automatic punctuation and emoji dictation also work when you send messages with Siri. And this year, we're making it easier to use Siri with apps. There are over 15,000 apps that work with Siri using SiriKit and Siri shortcuts. And today, these require manual setup. So we're introducing a new...
Okay, enough of it. So we know what the dictation and all new dictation in iOS 16 is. But now let's look at what the features are, okay? First of all, the fundamentals of a dictation. Okay. So you have a device, okay? And you have a user keeping sending the voice prompts or dictated voice into it. So they have a microphone collecting the voice. The key thing, the first key thing is compared to the previous voice recognizer, which was keeping sending your voice onto the server. Where are the servers? The servers could be in Ireland, in Oregon, in Boston, anywhere in the world. So then during the transmission of this voice, it might be susceptible to the hackers. But now on the new iOS 16, they claim that they can run the speech recognition all on the device. So they're no longer sending the voice onto the server, but everything was happening on the super powerful Apple's, I guess this is a 15 or 16 bionic chip, which has a neural engine in it. They have something called a maybe AI neural engine. So you may ask, Wei, what is the neural network model they use to recognize your voice? Okay, I think, although I haven't been working at Apple before, but I'm pretty sure it is the same thing happened on the Android, which is something called a RNNT. So this is an abbreviation of recurrent neural network transducer. So what does it do? Basically, you can imagine that your recognizer or the RNT, let's say this is an RNT, let's say it's a black box to you, okay? So at the time t, it takes in an input x of t, okay? And then because the Apple's neuron engine is super fast, it can get a output yt, which could be either character, letter, or something called a word piece, even word at a very fast speed. And the xt is your speech signal. Indeed, this is like encoded. This is called speech features, actually. But doesn't matter, you know, speech features, speech signals, roughly the same. And what is, so the transducer or the recurrent, don't forget there's a recurrent word here. So the recurrent would always take the yt at the previous time point. So the history into the black box. So you can see that after I get this yt at output using the previous yt and the current speech signal, then for the next time moment, I'm going to use the yt together with xt plus 1 to get yt plus 1. So you can see this RNT transducer, it can be taking streaming input. What does that mean? So the speech signals are coming into your black box one by one, and your output or word piece or word can be generated from the black box one by one in a streaming style. You see the streaming input and the streaming output, and this behavior or this feature is exactly can be called a transducer. Okay. And for those of you who are interested, you can also Google the article, which is a Pixel 6a uses on-device RNT for ASR. I think it's a on-device RNT for on-device ASR. So another interesting thing you can try by yourself is to do what? I don't have iPhone, but you can definitely. Here is my phone. Okay, you can try to turn off the Wi-Fi and the mobile data. Okay, so you see my phone now is an offline network, in an offline network, and I can try to send somebody or someone message as long as I install the Gboard. I think Gboard uses the RNT transducer. They have the model installed on my phone, so I can speak to it. You see, I can use the Gboard. Okay, and you see the small microphone button there. I can start to speak. You see, I can speak. I can tell you what is interesting to you. This is pretty accurate. Even I have accent, and even this is offline. It doesn't. The model is relatively small compared to the large model, which is on the server side. It can be gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes. But on this small device, the model is no bigger than 500 megabytes. But you do see something interesting. You can see it seems to me that the accuracy on the offline device is not as good as the server. Okay, here's the trick. Let me try this sentence, okay? Another one. I want to have fizz coffee. You see, I don't know whether you can see this. Instead of I said I want to have fizz coffee. I'm not sure whether I write it correctly. Maybe there's an E here. But the offline recognizer recognizes as a fizz or something like this. So do you know why? Let me tell you this why. Like I just mentioned in the previous page, it uses the RNT model. And think about how many words this RNT model can support. Suppose this is on the server side. This is definitely way easier, right? So you can have a word model of even up to 1 million words. This is doable, especially for the Google's voice search. They can do this, but vocab. But what if this is on device? This is the size of the model. Okay, it's a model size. Say this is ngram, it can be hundreds of megabytes, hundreds of gigabytes. Okay, but if you're on the device, you want to support 1 million words. That's impossible, right? So this is why they are supporting about 5,000 word pieces. Okay, yeah, you may ask, okay, I know what is word, but what is word pieces? I will give you some example. Take the word boy, for example. So boy can be a word or a word piece. But when I met another word boys, I can decompose the boys word into word piece 1, boy, and the word piece 2, s. Okay, but you have this symbol to make people understand, okay, the B is a word starting boundary, but Y here is not a word ending boundary or something like this. So later on, when you started to decode your speech, and in your decoded sequence, when you found your decoding sequence, decoded word piece sequence has boy and s, you are able to combine these two words back to the original word boys. Although your vocabulary does not have the word boys, it's doable. So this is very smart of the Google researchers. They managed to have this beautiful engineering thing there. So on the phone device, they don't even have to save the word boys. Okay, but here, and they are able to regard. They're able to use just the one RNNT model, just the one RNN model. But compared to the model on the server, most of the time they have two models. The first model is an end-to-end model to model the acoustics. Remember this is not an acoustic model. It's an acoustic-based end-to-end model. So it basically tries to convert the audio signal to word sequence or word piece sequences. They also have another important model, which is called a language model. So the language model is really very, very big. Okay. If you don't care about the speed, you can use a relatively smaller model, which is the RN model. But if you care about the speed, according to my source of information, Google frequently uses the Ngram language model on their server. So the N can be very large. The reason they use Ngram because is the computational cost or the time complexity of the Ngram is 0.1, right? It's just a hash table. So they can get the probability of an Ngram very fast compared to the RNLM, which has to pass through layers of neurons, neural networks. But they do have some ways of accelerating the RNLM, ongoing research. And when you have these two models, so they use some method called a shadow fusion. So what does that mean? They say that, okay, the results decoded from the end-to-end speech recognizer is not reliable. I want to use some extra knowledge or human knowledge or whatever knowledge, aka language model, to rectify the errors that could be occurring in the acoustic model. Take the example I just give you, for example. I want to have Fizz coffee, okay? So suppose, and I want to mention that, okay, on the device, there's just a one, like I mentioned, just a one end-to-end model, which is RNT model, just a one. There's no language model. Like I mentioned, language model is too big to stuff inside the mobile phone. Because of why? Language model is mostly a word-based language model. Okay, Ngram is word-based, RNLM is usually word-based, and you can see that whenever it comes to the entity, you can have 1 million entities, 10 million entities, probably 100 million entities. There are lots of entities in the world. Okay, it's impossible to put on a language model on your iPhone or Pixel. So they just have one end-to-end model. But there's no vocabulary over there. And when they recognize the word like a fizz, the fizz is indeed a word piece or two word pieces combined together. So my cell phone doesn't probably, locally speaking, it does not have a word fizz coffee in it, especially the entity name fizz, okay? Okay, but if you turn on the Wi-Fi, let me do that for you. and you start to speak, and they're able to do what? Let me show you. I want to have fizz coffee. I want to have a fizz coffee. Oh, this is still wrong. I want to have a fizz coffee. Anyways, probably my accent. So they're going to be able to take a look at the first pass recognition result with the wrongly recognized the word fizz over here. And they're also going to be able to send a list of the recognition result. Okay. The list of result could have a different word pieces in it. So they can later on use the server language model to adjust the rankings of the recognized results from the first pass. Okay. So what happened here is that the language model can adjust the order or the ranking of the recognition result. So this becomes the first ranked result. This becomes the second one because they think, although it sounds more like fizz, but this word gives you higher probability of the recognition result. So it can come with better recognition if you are connected to the network. Okay. But I think the last question you may have is that, okay, I saw so many neural network open source toolkit on the website. Can I just install my own on-device RNT recognizer? I would say for right now, you can do that, but mostly once your app or your stuff start to load the RNT model into the memory and starting to use it, iOS or Android would probably kill your app. Why? This is something I want to talk about. The size of the model and also the runtime memory thing. The first, according to the Google research published a paper back in 2018 or 19, the size of the model, I mean, on the hard drive or on the SD drive is about 100 megabytes. This is already very big, okay? Once it got loaded into the memory, this becomes bigger, okay? I think this is, if you're loading the model into the memory, it's at least several hundred megabytes, okay? And do you know any app you can use 100 megabytes in your cell phone, in iOS or Android without being killed in 2 minutes? Let me know. And you say, why Apple and Google can do this? Because their RNT is considered as a system service. They can be making sure that their RNT recognizer won't be killed. And this is why if you attend the WWDC or Android Developer Day, they teach you how to use their on-device speech recognizer SDK to develop your own app. So basically, your app can call their RNT recognizer, but you cannot do your own RNT recognizer. And also want to mention that Samsung phone also has their RNT on device. So you're also, so on Android device, you're able to use either the RNT model provided by Google or the RNT model provided by Samsung phone. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. I hope you like this video, and please subscribe our channel if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you so much.